Everybody, so this is one of our big retics. She's actually the first albino sunfire lavender ever made. She's pretty cool. Oh, come on, girl. She's actually getting ready to start preparing for breeding. You can tell because she's getting real heavy. Everybody thinks that heavy means fat. Well, it could mean fat if it's off season, but this girl here, she typically lays a good sized clutch of eggs and she'll build up all the weight. So the idea of fat snakes is kind of important that they do have some fat on them during breeding, because if otherwise what you end up with is a skinny, railed out snake that's super thin after she lays her eggs. And you know what? Sometimes they don't go right back on food. And if you're careless, you can actually get a snake to go in a cycle. And if they've laid a lot of clutches, they'll just keep laying eggs anyway. And so even if they're thin, you got to be really careful. Doesn't mean they're going to skip laying eggs. And if then they go into egg laying and lay a big clutch of eggs, spend all that energy and have no body weight, man, you can get in trouble. So this girl here, most people would say, oh wow, she's obese. Well, of course she's obese, just like a pregnant woman looks obese. Got a big belly on her. So now she's not actually gravid yet, but what she's doing is building up the follicles and the weight to carry the whole process. Of course, it's going to take. The process is about a 4-month, it's a 6-month process in real life, because typically in the wild, a snake like this, I like the way I'm sitting in her transport box, the way the cycle goes is they'll eat super heavy, and then after they eat super heavy, then what happens is they'll go off of food, find a mate, breed, and this process is like maybe 2 months from the time the breeding takes hold. You got almost 2 months exactly before they lay the eggs. And then in the wild, they're coiled around the eggs, and so they don't even get food for another 3 months. So you got 3 months, you got 2 months, and you got the 2 months before that. Man, look at that. You just blew over half a year in the cycling of breeding of a snake. So of course, if you catch them right before the 5 months without food, any person that doesn't understand animals is going to think they're obese. Obesity is only relevant. Now, if you take the snake right after she has eggs, just pour food in her like crazy, you could probably get her to be obese. And the truth is, more than likely, if she's already laid eggs before, she's going to lose all that weight again anyway, because she's trying to save up that energy to go do what she's made to do, reproduce. You know, I don't know if you realize it, but an animal's main drive is to eat and populate. This snake here can lay 60, 80 eggs. And the reason why they lay 60, 80 eggs is because in the wild, not very many of them are going to survive. If they were going to survive, imagine if every year she laid 60 eggs, you wouldn't even be able to step over all the snakes. But instead, the birds are eating them, the alligators, crocodiles are eating them, and all the different things out there, monitored lizards and foxes and owls and all those things are just eating away at these guys. And so of course when it gets this big, it's an apex predator, but it doesn't start out that way. And another cool thing about pythons is they're maternal. They actually, I don't know if I said the right word, but she'll actually sit around the eggs and incubate them. They claim that pythons can actually, even though they're cold-blooded, they can raise their temperature 1 or 2 degrees during incubation. And it's just really incredible how amazing these snakes are. Crocodilian are even more amazing in a way, because they'll protect the nest. They don't incubate the nest, but they protect the nest. After they hatch, they'll protect them for a year or two after. It's just incredible. And people think reptiles are just a small brain little animal. You know what? They may not have a giant brain, but they know how to use what they have. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if somebody tied your arms and legs behind your back and trying to catch a mouse or a rat or a rabbit or a bird? Yeah, right. People spend a whole year trying to get a deer with a rifle. And so anyway, the point being is they're amazing creatures, and I wanted to share some of the amazing facts. So this girl here can live to be probably upward to 25 years old. She's about 12 right now, approximately, and she's absolutely awesome, great disposition. Well, of course, if this was a wild caught snake in the wild, it would be completely a different attitude, because it would have to have a different attitude, because in order to survive all those years, like I said, 60 babies, probably out of 60 babies, not even one will survive. You know, so maybe after 60 and 60 and 60, maybe one or two will survive because they lay multiple clutches. And of course, she only needs to produce one male and one female to keep the population going. And so in the wild, things are rough. So sometimes we need to think less about what we think and more of what an animal thinks, because a lot of times we try to put ourselves in an animal's brain. Like space, this snake here, if I put this snake in a big giant room, I could go find the smallest, most confined area, and that's where she'd want to be. You wouldn't want to be there. I wouldn't want to be there. She'd want to be there. And you know what else she'd be? She would lay there patiently till her food came by and she'd get it. We run around, can't keep track of how to pay our own rent sometimes. They actually just relax and focus on what's important and get it done. So that's why they're so smart, despite the fact that they don't have a giant brain.